think great product managers need to, they listen. I think they need to listen to everybody, because sometimes, and I'm finding this right now a lot, that there's some legacy stuff out there, and people are just so accustomed to dealing with it that they forget to speak up. And so they might say it, but they don't say it loudly anymore. And so listening to that and hearing that side, kind of the noise on the side, is sometimes really important, even though you don't realize it. They continue to look at the numbers, at the data. One day doesn't give a trend by any means, but continue to make sure that they are paying attention to those, because over a course of time, those trends can go up and down. Now, obviously, if something drastically changes, you can definitely see it. But if you're not paying attention on a daily basis, it's hard to recognize it when it does change. So, I mean, there have been times where, not at this company specifically, but I think there was a moment where we had been doing a lot of work and we forgot to look at viewability numbers. So while we were doing a really good job of a number of things, all of a sudden we stepped back, and a week had gone by, and we were like, wait a second, okay, everything still looks good, and we're ready to go. And we hadn't looked at the viewability numbers, and then a big report came out that had viewability numbers. And some point over the last few months, there was a huge drop off. But it was a slow decline. So it wasn't something that every day you go, oh, we went from, I'll make it up, but we were at 70% and now we're at 69 and 68 and 67. But all of a sudden we went from 69 to 50, we'll say. But you didn't see it in an individual report. But if you look at the broad spectrum, all of a sudden you realize there was a huge drop off. And if you pulled back, you would actually see the drop off. And it was pretty quick, but it wasn't quick enough that you saw it. So you got to pay attention to that data. And kind of remember that you can miss stuff, and then you need to go back and fix it. So being able to react to that and recognize that, every day is not going to be the same day. You might have a list of things that you think you need to do, but ultimately something's going to come in, and you need to be good at stopping what you're doing, recognizing that the priorities have shifted. You need to be flexible with recognizing that the priorities have shifted, and either completely shifted where you're rearranging everything for the next couple months, or at least for that day or that week, that something else might be more important than everything that you had on your plate. So every day, recognizing that it's not going to be that day you think it is going to be. Some days will be, but not every day. And I think people ask, I think my husband still doesn't have any clue what I do. But he'll, it's like, well, what did you do today? Or what do you do on an average day? And I can answer that at a really high level, but at the base, every day could be different. I could come in and we could have an outage, and I have got to deal with what that looks like, and communication of that outage, which was not on the list of things that I was going to do that day, because I was going to sit down and write requirements and write release notes, and I had a communication that's needs to go out, and I never got to that communication, and it's going to have to wait. And because of that, unfortunately, the release that we were going to get out is going to have to go the next day, because we never communicated the clients, and we got to give them at least a couple hours notice before we actually deploy anything. And it happens. But recognizing that, it will be another day, and you'll get to those things eventually. And ultimately, the most important things are the things you need to be focused on.